So that's Councillors Tweel and Beck. Okay. Just one second, Councillor Tweel. Declarations of conflict of interest, good. Approval of agenda. Oh, do you? Go right. Just stand up there, Councillor Tweel. Go ahead.
Thank you. What I'd like to know is, every month we're asked to declare conflicts of interest, and then I read in the news about blind trusts, and it really intrigues me when I read about blind trusts versus conflicts of interest. And what I'd like to ask our solicitor is, from a legal perspective, what is the difference? Like, if you declare that you have a blind trust, does that mean you can still participate if you're in a conflict of interest, or there's an apprehension of bias? I'm just trying to understand how that format works, and what is the most proactive actions one could take. Again, blind trust versus conflict of interest.
Councillor Tweel, again, I'm going to ask our solicitor to, she'll have to look into that.
But she might know, right?
No, do you want to, if you can't answer now, can you look into it? Are you speaking about any specific councillor or the office of the mayor?
No, I didn't reference anyone, Mr. Mayor. But I'm intrigued because I read about it, in the national media, provincially, and municipalities across the country, and I've always wanted to know conflict of interest, the declaration of a conflict of interest versus, putting your affairs financially, or whether you have real estate holdings in a blind trust. And I just want to understand the legalities of both, and what is the most proactive one could take.
So the whole notion of a blind trust, you probably heard about it recently because the new leader of the Liberal Party has indicated that he took those steps to put all of his assets, except for his personal property and money, into a blind trust. And so at the federal level, at least, the idea would be that he would no longer have control over or influence over what occurred with regard to those assets. And as a result, he wouldn't be in a conflict with regard to issues that might relate to them because he would have divested himself of them. Conflict of interest is a little more like putting it in the trust is one step to try to protect and to insulate so that you can proceed along. It can depend on the terms of the blind trust. It can also depend on what it is that you're doing and what your past involvement has been, because in theory, your past involvement could actually affect your future involvement depending on what it was. So one isn't sort of a 100% insularizing. Blind trust wouldn't necessarily insularize one from an allegation of a conflict of interest, but that's the theory of it. The theory of it is to allow him to be the leader of the Liberal Party, the PM-elect, and to participate in the affairs of government without interference of his interest with regard to those assets.
Yeah, Councillor Tweel, second time, but Councillor Tweel, I just want to give you full disclosure.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to a blind trust.
Pardon me?
I, Philip Brown,
Yeah.
with our two businesses,
Right.
have put everything in a blind trust at
Okay.
a cost of almost $4,000 in legal fees. So I just want to tell you that I cannot participate in the company's operation, the two companies' operations.
referring to
No,
you.
no, I'm just
Yeah.
full disclosure. You want to follow up
Yeah,
the second
yeah,
question?
No, I wasn't referring to you.
No.
So having said that, Karen, my follow-up question would be, what is the most stringent, or what is the most strict in terms of one, declaring, a conflict of interest? Because at the municipal level, we're dealing with a lot of different issues. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're not sure if you are or you're not. There's the whole pecuniary, the financial gain. You can benefit from that, or you're involved with an organization. I'm not really sure, but I'm just trying to understand those two perspectives. and, you know, we have a conflict of interest guidelines and policies here, bylaw here with the city at our level, the municipal level. But I was just wondering, from a legal perspective, what is the most effective? That's the word.
So as a counselor, you would be concerned about being found to be in a conflict of interest and not having declared that conflict and having allowed this council to determine whether it is or is not a conflict of interest. And so I'm sure you've heard me in the past. I've spoken to existing and new councilors on a number of occasions, and not very legalistic language, but it's a good advice, which is if you're in doubt about whether or not you're in a conflict of interest, you should declare it and let this chamber decide. And that way you have discharged your duty. Because there are some potential negative outcomes if you are in a conflict of interest and you don't declare it and you proceed in a matter. And there's also some negative consequences for the city in terms of decisions that they might take and challenges that could be leveled against the city as a result of having people who participated who were in a conflict of interest.
Yes. Yeah, no, Councillor Twill, can we just move on? Yeah. Do you want to give a legal opinion on that?
Yes, if somebody wants to actually give me a statement of exactly what the question is, we're more than
Please send
happy
her
to
an email.
provide.
Okay?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Beck, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor? Councillor McAleer.
In favor?
Deputy?
In favor.
Okay. So I have the adoption of previous draft minutes, public meeting January 30th, 2025, regular monthly meeting February 11th, 2025, special meetings February 20 and 25th of 2025. Moved by Councillor McKinnon? Those minutes? Or did you want to talk to the minutes? Okay.
Your Worship, on the January 30th
Oh.
minute.
Can we just go under that'll be under business arising from the minutes?
Okay, I thought you were
Okay,
there.
do you want to move the minutes?
Sure.
Moved. Second by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor? Okay, Councillor McAleer, yea or nay?
In favor?
Deputy?
In favor.
Okay, business arising, Councillor Trevor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just noticed on the January 30th public meeting, I'm not listed there as being in attendance, but I was there.
What page is that on your digital copy? Is that the planning meeting?
The public meeting, council planning,
Yeah.
yeah, at the Rods.
Can you make that correction? Okay. We'll let Jason Doucette. No, thank you very much. Any other corrections, omissions, business arising? Okay. Let's go up to my agenda, and I have now business reports of standing committees. So Councillor McCabe, you're presenting the report, or do you want the deputy? Deputy, do you want to
I'm
present
happy
where
to do
you're?
my own report.
What's
I'm
that?
happy to do my own report if you guys are okay with it. I'm
Good.
happy to report.
Michael is here, and so is Donna. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, everybody. The Affordable Housing Advisory Committee has not met since our last regular meeting of council. The Heritage Board has not met. The Design Review Board has not met. The Planning Board met on Wednesday, February the 12th, and the copy of the minutes and reports are included in your package. Planning and Heritage Committee met on Tuesday, March 4th. Again, minutes and reports in your package. Planning Board met on Tuesday, March 4th. And again, package includes your minutes and your and report. For information purposes, there's a list of the permit applications issued for February 2025, along with the year-to-date. It's all included in the end of this report as well. We have 10 resolutions this evening, 7 of which are to be asking council to move on to public consultation. And if you have any questions, I can do my best to answer. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Twill. On the report, sir?
It's concerning previous resolution.
Is Is it in the package?
No,
Or
it's
is
not
it?
in the package, but it's concerning, I'm just looking for an update.
Okay, go ahead. Which?
Okay,
she's
so
on- she's
thank you,
online.
thank you for your report, Chair, Deputy Mayor. As you know, a request come into City Council regarding, I believe it was 10 Prince or 10 Water Street, and the removal of the designation, of the heritage designation. And I'm just wondering, do we have an update as to what has taken place at IRAC? Have we gotten any further information as to where that is in the queue?
Okay. Yeah, I know, no, I know.
I can,
I know, hold on. Just, Councillor McKinnon?
Yes, sir.
Can we just slow down? Like, he just asked a question about a previous, right, and it's not in the package. So, relax. So, Councillor Twill is asking, so Councillor Twill, it's duly noted. So Michael will follow up, or the chair. Thank you.
So,
Nope, that's it.
can he answer?
No, he'll follow up with an email to you, so because it's been questioned by two councillors not to, it's not in the report, so I'm going to move on.
Can I ask another question?
On the report?
No, on the procedure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I think it's time that we, as a council, maybe we think we need to reach out to the PEI Federation of Municipalities to get a status report on procedures as to, in all my years here, you could ask for questions for clarification, updates, and it wasn't major surgery. And I find now, particularly this term of council, we're more confined and we don't have that flexibility. We're not able to ask questions that are relevant to what's happening in our community. I mean, we talk about being open and transparent. These are just, they're not hardball questions. They're just good, honest questions and just looking for updates, status reports. And I don't see anything wrong with that. In all my years of being a member of City Council, it wasn't an issue. Then all of a sudden it becomes an issue. But I think we need to reach out to the PEI Federation Municipalities to get a better understanding and maybe even municipal affairs because it's confining us and we can't, it's hard to participate and fulfill your responsibility as an elected official.
CAO, Sue, this is, we're governed by our procedural bylaw, correct?
Correct, Your Worship.
And in the procedural bylaw, reports to council, questions are related to the reports in the package, correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
So Councillor Twill will have to ask, you don't have to go to the FPEIM, Councillor Twill will have to make a request to change the procedural bylaw to allow just open-ended questions, correct?
Yes, and the procedural bylaw is one of the bylaws in the hopper to do some friendly amendments, and all councillors have an opportunity to input into any amendments.
Okay, Councillor Beck.
I was just going to say that. It actually come up at the strategic priorities meeting there today as well, too. So I think one of the things we talked about was, I can't remember the terminology of it, but it was councillors' questions or something like that, looking to insert that as part of our procedural bylaw. But as for now, we have what the bylaw is. So like a lot of our bylaws, we'll have the opportunity to update them, and that would be, I think the opportunity for feedback is going to be forthcoming, so that'll be the time to input.
Yeah, that's why, of course, the CAO is here and has a very good background on the procedural bylaw, so it's always best to ask her rather than jumping all over a councillor or the office of the mayor. So, can we read the first resolution, planning and heritage, please?
Your Worship, the Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 1, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following request for rezoning the unaddressed subject properties addressed at Kensington Road and Falconwood Drive, PID numbers 278226 and 278234, be approved to proceed to public consultation. to rezone the subject properties identified as PIDs 278226 and 278234 from the current single detached residential R1S zone and placing them in the medium-density residential R3 zone to facilitate future development of the combined properties with a proposed 5-story, 41-unit apartment building that would have both service level and underground parking.
Okay, so it's only a public consultation? Good. Councillor Ramsey? Question? Questions called? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Councillor McAleer, yea or nay?
In favor? Thank
Yep.
you.
Deputy? She still on? Tracy? Can you hear us,
In
Deputy? Mayor?
favor,
Okay, thank you.
in favor,
Number 2?
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 2, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following request for rezoning for the subject property addressed as 10 Frida Lane, PID number 1179670, be approved to proceed to public consultation. To rezone the subject property identified as 10 Frida Lane, PID number 1179670, from the current comprehensive development area, CDA zone, and place it into the medium-density residential R3 zone to facilitate future development of the site with a proposed 3-story, 30-unit apartment building that would have surface-level parking.
Questions called? All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Deputy? Deputy Mayor Yankoff?
in favor,
Okay, thank you.
in favor,
Number 3?
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 3, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that Council approves the appointment of Planner 2 Bradley Vince as a Heritage Officer, granting him the authority to perform all duties and responsibilities associated with this role as stipulated in Section 2.1 of the Heritage Preservation Bylaw.
Questions called? All those in favor? Councillor McAleer
In favor? Thank you.
and Deputy.
in favor,
Thank you. It's not my phone. Okay, thank you.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 4, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana, sorry?
Okay.
Oh,
Councillor
sorry.
Twill, you in conflict? Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 4, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that Council reassess its position on removing the insurance coverage requirements from the city's short-term rental licensing bylaw, number 2023 PH STR 2000, taking into consideration the preliminary assessment conducted by staff on regulations from other jurisdictions, and that Council directs staff to consult with an insurance expert to explore alternative options beyond commercial general liability insurance that would still ensure adequate coverage and risk management. And that notwithstanding, if Council determines that removing the insurance requirement is in the city's best interest, staff will proceed with amending the short-term rental licensing bylaw as directed.
Questions called? All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor? Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
in favor,
Okay, thank you. Okay. Councillor Beck and Councillor Twill can come back in. Just 1 second. Is he?
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 5, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following proposed housekeeping amendments to the Zoning and Development Bylaw, PHZD Point 2, be approved to proceed to public consultation with the intent to expand public circulation options for specific development applications requiring mailed notices as stipulated in the Planning Act. Section 3.8.3B, minor variances. Section 3.9.3B, major variances. Section 3.10.4A, rezonings. Section 3.15.4, reconsideration, and Appendix A, definitions.
Councillor Matard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to bring it up, but I guess since we're talking about recommended housekeeping amendments to this particular area, I'd like to be exploring the increase of the 100 meters as a possibility. I know in certain circumstances, if I take Park Street and using that as an example, when notifying people in 100 meters of the said property, only 9 notifications are received in that general area. So I spend my time doing 300 flyers myself to ensure that the residents are made aware of public meetings that are occurring. And I'm sure that's the case across the city and in other areas. It's one thing if it's in a dense area and 100 meters does impact a lot. So I'm not sure if that can be something we decide here, or how does that go back to this committee for that?
Do you want to address that, or do you want to leave
Or
that
to
to
the chair, I guess she's the chair's here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Deputy Mayor? Do you want to
Sure.
address that question?
Thank you, Councillor Matart, for your question. So that would have nothing to do with the housekeeping amendments that we're looking at heading to consultation today. But I can take that back to our Planning and Heritage Committee, and we can either discuss it or it can be something we can earmark for our changes to the zoning and development bylaw. Either way, I will take it back to Planning and Heritage Committee for discussion for next steps.
And it could come up at the public consultation too, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Twill?
Thank you. And it's also relating to the question that Councilor Matart brought up. Back a few months ago, I filed a notice of motion that people that live in the area of influence, whether it be 100 meters or 200 meters, priority be given to the residents that are impacted by a particular development. I don't know what happened to that notice of motion, but I think what I've found over the years is that people that don't live in a community, would like to participate and suggest, a development is good or it's not good, yet they're not really impacted. They don't live in the community, they have no investment in the community, and they don't pay taxes in the community. So I'm not sure what happened to my notice of motion, but nonetheless, I wanted to bring it forward again. And I think it's imperative and essential that people that live in the community know their community, and they should decide what takes place in their respective community. So, again, I don't know where that notice of motion is, but I did my due diligence. I brought it forward, and I think it's relevant to what Councillor Matart brought up, and I just wanted to build on what he brought up, because I think it's important that people that live in a community decide what takes place in their respective community. I feel very strongly about that. We got people making recommendations and writing letters and emails to the city. And it's not that we don't want to hear from them, but they're not impacted by a particular development regardless of what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Question called? Yes, sir. No questions called. All those in favor? Deputy Mayor?
In favor.
Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you kindly. Go ahead there.
Resolution number 6, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following request for rezoning and official plan amendment for the subject properties identified as PID numbers 134957 and 1180348 be approved to proceed to public consultation. To rezone the subject properties PID numbers 134957 and 1180348 from low-density residential single R2S zone to the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone, and to also change the land use designation in the City of Charlottetown official plan from low-density residential to comprehensive planning area, to facilitate the future development of the subject properties with a new plan of subdivision proposed across 3 phases of development, having approximately 800 dwelling units, commercial development, and public green space. 2 new road connections along the east side of Malpeque Road are proposed in order to facilitate the future development.
Please let the record note that Councillor Duran did declare a conflict of interest and left. Question? Question's called. Okay, all those in favor? Councillor McAleer, yea or nay?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor?
In favor.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Resolution number 7.
Can someone just call Councillor Duran
Oh,
back in?
sorry, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Resolution number 7, moved by Deputy Mayor Lana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following request for rezoning for the subject property addressed as 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215, be approved. Amend Appendix G zoning map of the Zoning and Development Bylaw from low-density residential R2 zone to medium-density residential R3 zone for the property located at 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215.
Questions called? No, Councillor McKinnon. Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking through the package and I looked back and I can't find it offhand, but I thought we turned this down or voted against it at the time because of access. There was only one way in, one way out. There's still only one way in, one way out. The wording in it, when you read the report, is they may need a new hydrant. Like, to me, it's still gray. There's safety issues here, so I'll be voting against it. Thank you.
Deputy, you want to take that on?
Sure, Your Worship. I think that you'll see in the report that things like a standpipe have been included, and a lot of the issues have been addressed this time, which is, I think, why the confidence is there to approve this this application this time. And if Director Mike or Manager David want to add to that, they have a very good knowledge of this file.
Michael or David?
Your Worship, David Gundrum here, just through the chair to Councillor McKinnon, and just to echo from what Chair Yankoff said. This application was previously deferred for decision to solicit additional comments and feedback from city departments, principally fire department. The fire department did write back to planning and provided a list of call it conditions or matters that need to be addressed should a building permit be issued. One of those includes installation of a standpipe for the building and also potential installation of an additional hydrant in proximity to the building. So the fire department provided options that could form condition to a future building permit. They weren't in complete opposition to the proposal. They had concerns, but they expressed that those concerns could be addressed through the conditions that they explained in their response comments following the earlier deferral by council on the application.
Councillor McKinnon, follow up?
No, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the explanation, Chair and Mr. Gundrum, but I'm still concerned because we have turned down permits in the past because we didn't have, from the fire chief, we didn't have a way in and a way out for the trucks. It's a very short road. We have a fire down there. I'm not sure where all the trucks are going to go, get turned around, get residents out. It's a small area without an in and an out. Thank you.
Deputy, do you want to defer it or do you want to respond?
Well, I don't know if there's anything more I can say. I mean, if the manager has anything else, but I don't think there's anything else I could add to this right now.
Yeah, through your worship, David here again. Just to address that follow-up question from Councillor McKinnon, one of the points of response we got from the fire department, and I failed to mention this, was a proposal to sacrifice a portion of the property to allow for a turnaround down McKinnon Road, such that like at near the frontage to the property, such that you'd have enough of a turning bulb in that area. A fire truck could come in and make a 360-degree sweep as needed. So that was an additional comment I failed to mention from fire, that that could be levied as a condition of a future permit, and the costing of that would have to be figured out between Public Works and the developers if that comes to pass. So to answer the question, there is an option available there that the fire department put forward to address that limitation of a single access, such that fire trucks could navigate and turn around if they need to. So,
Councillor Twill?
Looking for further clarification. Our fire chief is here. Just wondered if he could add any more to Councillor McKinnon's concern about protective services, particularly the fire department. That seems to be the issue here. Just wondering, Chief, if you could add any more to what's being discussed.
Can you just, Councillor Twill, we ran into this last week, can you just go through the chair just like a standing committee? Deputy, I want to ask first, Deputy, is that all okay that we, or David or
Yes.
Michael? Is it okay?
Mhm. Yep, that's perfectly fine. Thank you, Your Worship.
Chief, put you on the hot seat, no pun intended.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Chair, through to Councillor Twill. In particular, I'd have to review the file. I hadn't reviewed it in advance of this, but there are stipulations for single access roads. It depends, code compliancy is dependent on the length of the road, the number of occupancies on the road, what type of occupancies they are, and what type of fire flow is required, so the hydrants and all the rest of it. So that's all taken into consideration for every application. So they're not all identical. It's not a cookie cutter yes and no. So there is some particulars that go into that. But to speak to this file in particular, to add any more to it, I wouldn't be able to.
Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I just heard the manager of planning say that the apparatus turnaround could be required. So is that something we can put into the resolution tonight to say that it is required before people pass that resolution?
Deputy?
I'm fine with that. That would be great, as long as it's something that is, within our, ability to do this evening. But sure, if that's the will of council, let's do it.
Yeah. Can we get some input from the manager or staff here? Okay?
yeah, through your worship, David here again. I'll just something to point out here. I think it's important that what's being approved tonight is actually the rezoning from R2 to R3. That doesn't specifically necessarily approve the specific development that they're building. It just approves the rezoning from R2 to R3. It doesn't. You're not actually approving specifically what they intend to build by virtue of their application. It's just a rezone to R3. So I just put that out there because what's being spoken to here could be placed as conditions on a future building permit. You're only approving the rezoning of the lot, nothing further than that. They still have to come in for a permit to build what they actually intend to build, and it's possible that could change. They could come in with a modified proposal that would conform to the R3. They have a proposal right now that does conform to the R3, but that could be subject to change. I just want to make that clear that you're not approving what they want to build. You're approving just the rezoning and nothing further than that.
Yeah.
And that any future permit can be conditioned as appropriate.
Yeah, that could be part of a development agreement, correct? Okay. Just rezoning.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Councillor Beck?
Yeah, so is that determined at the professional level? Does that just get addressed at the professional level, taking into consideration the roundabout, for lack of a better word, or does that have to come back here for approval, or does that just get addressed at the planning staff level?
Again, Deputy, I'm going through to you. Do you want to defer to Mike, David, yourself?
Yes, you can defer that over to David, sure.
Mike, one of you, please.
Yep.
David?
Yeah. Through your worship, what Councillor Beck said is absolutely correct. It would be after tonight. It would be at the staff level in terms of permit approval, development agreement, and any conditions attached there too. That would be at the staff level and potentially interdepartmental, like between planning, fire, and whoever else needs to be involved, perhaps public works as well. It wouldn't have to come back to council is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Question? Questions called. All those in favor? Okay. Councillor Duran, yea or nay? Councillor McKinnon? Councillor McCabe? No, no? Okay. Councillor McCabe? Councillor Bernard? Deputy?
In favor.
And Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 8, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe, that the following be resolved that the following request for rezoning and official plan amendment for the subject properties addressed as 171 181 Kensington Road, PID numbers 385930, 385948, and 555177 be approved to proceed to public consultation. To rezone the subject properties addressed as 171 181 Kensington Road, PID numbers 385930, 385948, 555177 from the single detached residential R1L zone to the medium density residential townhouse R3T zone, and to also change the land use designation in the City of Charlottetown official plan from low-density residential to medium-density residential to facilitate the development of the combined site with a new townhouse development, 9 units proposed, that would have a common outdoor amenity space to the rear of the property for use by residents.
Councillor Matart and Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Your Worship. To the chair, I do believe back in October, this file came to City Council and was rejected it was not recommended by planning staff, planning board, and ultimately then, I guess, rejected by council. So my question is, and maybe it's more of getting an understanding, I was always of the impression that when something like this came in, they would go back and it would be a year's time before that they would be able to reapply. Now, reading through the report, I think the conclusion has been made that this new plan is dissimilar to the first one in certain ways that is now brought it back forward here. I'm looking for some clarity on how that process worked and how we got back to here. And in reviewing it, and I don't want to make any judgments at this point in time. I know we're just going to public consultation, but I don't overly see it as being dissimilar to what was presented in the first time. So to the chair, could I get some direction on why we're here today again with this, since it was here in October?
Deputy Mayor Yankoff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. So when the planning staff reviewed this application, they felt that there was enough differences and changes in the application that it didn't really fit the criteria of the same application. So that's why it's here today. But I will turn it over to David if he wants to clarify that anymore, because we did have some healthy conversation about that same question that you're asking today.
Mr. Gundrum?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through the chair to Councillor Matart, and I'll just echo and expand on what the Deputy Mayor said. This application, it differs from the application that was rejected last fall in that application proposed 12 townhouse units on the site. This is proposing 9 as well. This includes a public amenity space for the on-site residents to the rear of the property. So that's a new feature that has been added. And also this is an important thing to keep in mind is that the previous application was only for rezoning. This application is a combined rezoning as well as official plan amendment. And what we got hung up on the previous application, a big hang up was that we found that the application did not conform to the policies of the official plan. So the applicants have come back again with a physically modified proposal that's, noticeably and tangibly a bit different than the previous one. But in addition to that, they're trying to address the inconsistency with the official plan by requesting an amendment to said plan to change the land use designation from low density to medium density under the plan. So that, and they've also lowered the density from 12 units to 9 as well, but they're also, in combination with that, trying to reconcile this with not just the zoning bylaw, but also the OP, and that was not present in the previous application as well. So there's both physical on the ground changes as well as policy related changes that they're requesting for that weren't present in the previous application.
Councilor Bedard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, David, for that, and to the chair. I'm not sure if changing then I guess the RT, whatever it's gone there now, R1 to RT, or to medium to low density to medium density is even worse. But nonetheless, I guess, there was a lot of feedback that was received by the residents at that time regarding the design and layout, and I still see a very similar design layout. So I guess we'll go through the due process of public consultation to allow them to come in and weigh in on what these changes are. So really all I see is going down from 9 to 12, still medium density, maybe it was considered high density at 12, but for the most part, there's still a lot of the existing design and plan around that property that drove a lot of concern for the residents in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Twill.
I think Councilor Tarp brings up some excellent points. My request would be that the letters that go out to the people in the area of influence, 100 meters, it's a suggestion. I think there should be some kind of comparative analysis, the previous application and this application, to explain what the contrast is, so they can have a better idea in terms of the specifics of the application, because there's going to be confusion. You can rest assured when they read that that notice from the planning department. They're going to say, just as Councilor Bitar pointed out, they're going to say, I thought we dealt with this application. So it wouldn't hurt to be able to explain what the differences are and do a bit of a comparative analysis, so they can be much better informed as to what they're being asked in terms of approval or a rejection. Again, I just wanted to bring that suggestion to the table.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Twill. And I'm going to, through the chair, I'm going to ask the manager or the director, is this something, I mean, it's actually a great idea, Councillor Twill. Is that something that could be included as an addendum, an attachment to the letter?
Mr. Gundrum or Mr.
Through your worship to Councillor Twill, I actually think that's an excellent idea. That was on our mind before bringing this forward to council tonight. I think we will do that. We have done that in the past with applications that regard reconsideration requests, to give a more fulsome context to how this got here for the people that are circulated. So I think we'll 100% do that, because otherwise, as you mentioned, Councillor Twill, folks that are being recirculated could get wholly confused as to why this is coming back so soon. But we'll provide some language in the letter to give them context as to the nuances and differences between this application and the prior one, just so it's clear what's changed, so they have that context if they're going to respond back to the city.
Okay. Question? Question's called by Councilor Ramsey. All in favor? Councilor McAleer, yea or nay?
In favor, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
In favor.
Thank you. Okay. Next one.
Resolution,
CAO.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 9, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the following request for rezoning and official plan amendment for the unaddressed subject properties identified as lots 24, 25, and 26 on Evelyn Street, PID numbers 117, 8193, 1178201 and 1178219 be approved to proceed to public consultation. to rezone the subject properties identified as lots 24, 25, and 26 on Evelyn Street, PIDs number 1178193, 1178201, and 1178219, from low-density residential single R2S zone to the medium-density residential R3 zone, and to also change the land use designation in the City of Charlottetown official plan from low-density residential to medium-density residential to facilitate the development of each of the 3 lots with a 4-unit building, stacked townhouse dwellings.
Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just trying so from what I understand, this new subdivision was approved very recent. I think it's been very recently approved, like the asphalt's probably not dry on the street. So when we approve a subdivision, are those lots based on our, like on the official plan and stuff, they were zoned as R2 and are they sold? Like, is this still the original developer? Because we're already coming out of the gate looking to rezone, which is fine. I know they have a right to do that and we go to public consultation, but are we gonna have to do this now every time this whole new subdivision, if it's zoned R2? People wanna do this kind of development? I'm just looking for clarification. We just barely approved it.
Deputy?
Thank you for that. So it is a rezoning application, and they are, they're requesting it from the 3 lots unidentified for future use. But I will defer to David to get a little more clarification for you, Councillor McCabe.
Mr. Gundrum?
Through your worship to Councillor McCabe, as far as I'm aware, these lots are still under the ownership of the developer. I might be mistaken on that, but that's to the best of my knowledge at this point. Notwithstanding that, and irregardless of that, really, the applicants have essentially, in my mind, put in for rezonings for what are arguably some of the larger lots in terms of frontage and lot area within that plan of subdivision that could accommodate essentially they're fourplexes, but they're arranged as stacked townhomes. There's not many other lots in that plan of sub that could accommodate that level of development. And, I would say that this could be a request that's responding to market conditions. There might be increased demand for higher density housing, providing a lower price point on an individual or household basis, and the developers have picked up on that, and that's, I think, in part why this request has come forward, is that they're responding to market demand through this request. It would be my my guess here. So,
Councillor McCabe? When the Love subdivision was first planned, I think it went through numerous amendments. Go ahead, Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, so maybe we'll go to public consultation, and that's great, and hopefully we can encourage them to kind of plan their subdivision so it's not having to go to a meeting every month. Thank you.
Okay. Question? Question's called. All those in favor? Deputy?
In favor.
Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 10?
Planning and Heritage Resolution number 10, your worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe, that the following request to consider a new development concept plan for the subject property identified as lot 2019-5, PID number 390740, on St. Martha's Court be approved to proceed to public consultation. To consider a new development concept plan for the property identified as lot 2019-5, PID number 390740, in the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone in order to facilitate future development of the site with 2 82-unit apartment buildings with a total density of 164 units, and to request to amend Appendix B, Comprehensive Development Area CDA parcels and permitted uses of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, subject to a traffic impact assessment for the proposed development.
Thank you. Questions called. All those in favor to go to public consultation? Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Deputy?
In favor.
0. Okay. And we have a couple of second readings or first readings?
Yes, Your Worship, we have an amendment for the official plan, PHOPA-1, to adopt the official plan amendment, PHOPA 1044, to amend Appendix A, future land use map of the City of Charlottetown official plan for the subject property identified as 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215, from low-density residential to medium-density residential, and be it resolved that the official plan amendment, PHA-OPA 1-044, as it pertains to 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215, as attached, be adopted. And that's moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
So this is first reading,
Yes, Your Worship.
and there is debate, discussion allowed, because second reading. Councillor Ramsey, do you want to speak to it?
No. After it's all done, Your Worship.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the zoning and development is the next one.
So
Your Worship.
shall it carry?
Pass.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Yankoff, yea, nay?
Passed.
Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So the zoning and development bylaw, PHZD-2, to adopt bylaw PHZD 2088, a bylaw to amend the zoning and development bylaw to amend Appendix G zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw from the low-density residential R2 zone to medium-density residential R3 zone for the property located at 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215. Be it resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw, PHZD 2088, as it pertains to 7 McKinnon Road, PID number 374215, as attached, be read a first time and approved, and that it be read a second time at the next public meeting of council, and that's moved by Deputy Mayor Lana Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
Okay. This is opinion. Did you want to speak to this, Rand?
No, I just want to
Okay.
speak when she's all
Okay.
done.
Okay. Shall it pass?
Pass.
Okay. Is that the only one? Councillor Durant, yea or nay? Councillor McAleer, yea or nay?
Pass.
In favor, thank you.
Okay. And Councillor McKinnon, yea or nay? Nay. Councillor McCabe, yea. Councillor Bernard? Okay, 9-1. Councillor McKinnon. Okay. And again, Deputy, I'm just looking at the figures for construction value is 42 million, end of February 2025. And as of February 2024, it was 21 million, 100% increase. Huh. Pretty good.
Yep. Well, yeah, wow.
Yeah, just climbing, just keep building. Bill, baby, Bill. Okay, did you want to say something there?
Yes, I do, Your
Okay.
Worship, thank you. Thank you for that, Madam Chair. And over the meeting tomorrow, that's going to be starting, I was getting a few phone calls the past 2 or 3 days from residents and other people wondering what was in the Guardian, and I know our comps department did a retraction, or today put out our own message. So are the residents, some residents still don't understand, but when they go, they can ask all these tough questions and get the answers tomorrow? To a certain point, you know.
Deputy?
Yes, they can ask yep, each resident has 5 minutes to ask questions and seek clarification. Yep, they can all get up and speak once.
Okay, thank you. Just want to clarify that for the people.
It's wide open. Councillor McKinnon?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's regard to, in the package, the weekly permits that get published. Typically, we get the permits sent out to us on a Monday. I had a resident reach out regarding Trainer Street, where permits were approved on a Tuesday, so I'm just asking the chair to bring this back for consideration. So on Tuesday, this permit was issued for Trainer Street and wasn't published till the following Monday. with a 21-day window that they have for an appeal process, they lost 6 days in the appeal process. So is it possible that this could be looked at so that that loss is not there for the residents when they go lose time for their appeal? Thank you.
Deputy?
Thank you for that, Councillor McKinnon. And you're correct, this is not the first time it's happened, and it shouldn't happen. And I do believe staff is looking to ensure that it doesn't happen going forward. If staff have anything, David, if you have anything you want to add to that, but I do believe that they are putting in a little bit more rigor to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
David, Mike, Donna?
Yeah, I'll, through your worship, in response to Councillor McKinnon, it's a very good question. I guess what we can do, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, this is just an idea on my part, we can look into this a bit further. And just a thought would be that if there's nothing legislatively or legally holding us back, and we can investigate this further with our lawyers, perhaps. My understanding is that the clock starts ticking from the day that the permit is approved, not from the day that the list is published. But what I wonder is whether there's any ability for us to seek an alteration of that, or, folks don't know until the list goes up on the website, right? Or maybe the day after that, that they catch that the list has gone live. We can certainly look into that further. I don't want to say any more and commit any other staff to anything, but I'll maybe turn it over to anybody else in the room to answer that further. But that might be an idea that we can look into that more deeply, so that there's no days lost on any future application or permit, so that that 21 days remains intact, and that folks have that full 3 weeks at their disposal to make a decision whether they wish to appeal or not. But I'll turn it back over to the chair from here.
Chair, I think we have Michael that wants to speak.
Your worship, I would maybe just add to that, with the department's focus on the implementation of the Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives, our investment in the new e-permitting system, that is certainly something that we can look at with that implementation, so that we have live updates moving forward, so that, the day a permit is issued in our system, it would be published on our website. But again, to David's point, at this point in time, we're really just brainstorming. So we're happy to bring forward some future information at another Planning and Heritage Committee meeting.
Okay, thank you there. Mr. Russ, good? Okay. Parks, Recreation, Leisure Activities. Councillor Twill, Ward 4. Councillor Twill, is there a resolution? Or Frank, it says pending? It's not an... Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Twill.
Yes, we do have one resolution for council's consideration. And just wanted to bring up a few items that I hope to bring to the committee to continue the work in progress. We're going to be looking for an update, for example, on our tennis courts. Major renovations are taking place at the tennis courts, so I know the tennis community is very keen as for a status report as to, how the renovations are taking place and when these new tennis courts are going to open. So certainly a lot of enthusiasm with respect to the required renovations. The second issue is that we definitely got to put some work into, and I brought it up last month, is the status of the Joe Giz Park. People don't feel safe in that particular park anymore due to people with addictions and some of the things that are happening, the illegal activities in the Joe Giz Park. So hoping that our staff and our committee can formulate a plan so that our residents in that particular area of the city will feel comfortable, regardless what the demographic is, whether it's children, young people, seniors. We've got some major work to do. We've heard on a number of occasions about how people in the community don't feel safe regarding the Joe Giz Park. Another item we want to work on, we did receive a request from Frank Morrison, who's here tonight, regarding smoking and illegal drug usage in our parks. We do have a no smoking bylaw. I think it's a good bylaw. However, I think we need to be more diligent in our efforts when it comes to enforcement. So I know Frank has made a request to come in and meet with the committee. We discussed that prior to Christmas, and I want the gentleman to know that it's definitely a top priority, and we look forward to Frank coming in and having that discussion with the Parks and Recreation Committee. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank you, sir, for all your years of service. You know, you've devoted a number of years, I'm talking decades, and I want you to know it has not gone unnoticed. Thank you. Something that's near and dear to my heart is getting more young people involved in recreation, sports, regardless of the economic, social status that they find themselves in. I believe that we can do more. We can do a lot more. And that's one exercise that I'm keen to work on in this particular year with the support of the committee and the staff. We need to be out in the community. We have a lot of young people that have never put on a pair of skates, never picked up a baseball glove, never had a chance to throw a football or kick a soccer ball because the cost is prohibitive. And I think the first thing we need to do is we need to reach out to the community, families in our community, and find out why their children or teen is not involved in sports or recreation, whether it be passive or active. And that's something that we need to be proactive on, and an exercise that we need to reach out to the community. So that's something that I'm very, very keen on. I want to see more people involved in sports and recreation. I think it's just a great opportunity for our community to have that option and to have that opportunity, because right now there's a lot of our kids that they're not participating, and it's not their fault. It's just cost prohibitive. So we need to work with our citizens to find a pathway forward to make it much easier. So we need to create those incentives and reach out to the community. One of the things that has come up at our Parks and Recreation Committee meeting is we discussed the official plan, and when new developments are taking place, whether it be subdivisions or major multi-usage residential development, we've talked about the 10%, which is dedicated to recreational green space. And sometimes we find that 10% is really not enough. And I know, Councillor Bernard, we talked about this previously at our Parks meeting, and, we're looking at maybe with the official planning and zoning development bylaw going to 15% or maybe 20% of parks and recreational green space, because lots of times the park dedication could be to a trail, and it doesn't really offer any playground opportunities or any other recreational opportunities. So that's something that I believe we should be proactive on, and working with the planning, the planning committee and the planning department. We should be exploring those opportunities to have as much recreational green space in the respective communities and neighborhoods, subdivisions, because if you don't have that, then it's hard to have a healthy community, a livable community, and a community where people can go out and relax and enjoy the fine weather, even this time of the year. So that's something I think we need to be proactive on. And the other is I do get reminders by email regarding friends of Jeff Mobbs and, of course, Joey Maths. These two gentlemen passed away. Jeff passed away a number of years ago, and they're looking for to be able to remember these two great citizens at the new Simmons Arena. So I know that recognition is being worked on, but I want those two particular families, Libba Mobbs, who's Jeff's mother. I just want Libby to know that we haven't forgotten Jeff. And I want Jackie Masson to know that we haven't forgotten Joey. Joey was very dedicated, coaching minor hockey, and it's really unfortunate he never had an opportunity to get to see the new Simmons Arena. I know he would certainly enjoy the new confines of the Simmons Arena, and we want to remember Jeff and Joey and do so in a very respectful and a dignified manner. That's just an oral presentation.
Yep.
And we do have one resolution for council's consideration. I'll do my best to answer any questions. Thank you.
That resolution is open, closed?
No, it's discussed initially.
Okay, it won't be in the open. Okay. Councillor Drawn and Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you, Councillor Tweel, for your comments. I just question your concern about going from 10% in a development for parks to a 20%. That's double in size. I mean, for the city of Charlottetown, I think I asked a number of years ago how many parks we had, and it was in excess of 115 at that time, and we're still building parks every time we come here with a development. We're looking at a bigger park or a more parks. So, which costs a lot to develop, which costs a lot of city taxpayers' money to get the apparatuses in place, and then the cost is burdened down to the developer. A developer comes in with a plan. He wants to sell so many lots, and then now we sit here and we say, well, now we want the developer to pay for sidewalks, and we discussed this at a committee the other day, Public Works. So we come in with a plan to widen the streets, to get people to walk on the streets, and now we want people to put more into sidewalks. Now with your recommendation or your concern, we want to double the actual footage from 10% to 20%, which is an astronomical amount of money to be burdened on the developer. I think a 10%, I mean, you go around to these new developments, they give a 10% land to the city. That's part of the agreement. You know, the parks are not full. I know different parks, they're empty a lot of the time. They're walkable. A lot of places in the city, if you wanted to go to a park, you could walk to it. So I just caution when we throw numbers out, the financial implications to the city for all the apparatuses and for the developer who might just say, you know what, it's going to cost too much. We keep saying we're in a housing crisis and we want to build houses, but every time we meet, we come back with, more financial burden on the developer. So I don't know where we're going, what we want here. So we just caution yourself or ourselves in making decisions that may turn developers away in coming here and building housing. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Beck. Can I get Councillor Beck first?
Well, I'd like
And
to
then you can get two, answer.
He can respond
No,
if you want.
we'll just get you to answer two questions. I want to keep moving. Go ahead, Councillor Beck.
Okay. Just page 184, I just want to comment on the Golden Wisdom Speaker Series as part of the senior engagement. And I do want to commend Jacinta Campbell and Joanne Ings, co-chairs of the Senior Engagement Committee, and Brianna McDonald, who is our staff member as well, too. I had the good fortune of attending the very enlightening session by Jim McNutt down at the library the other day, and it was on Charlottetown architecture. And sometimes these things go on in the community. It was really well attended. I didn't know what to expect, but the room was full. So clearly there was a high level of engagement. So kudos to the Senior Engagement Committee for putting together a very relevant, and I would say timely, because we are in the process of looking at our official plan development. And it was really interesting. His Worship and I actually had a bit of a follow-up meeting with Jim McNutt afterwards. It was something that came after the fact, but It was really interesting just to think about architecture in Charlottetown, and I think the plan or the hope is at some point in time, Jim is going to be potentially coming in and doing some discussions here with us. So it was really interesting. So good job to that Seniors Engagement Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. That was a great follow-up, too. Councillor Twill, did you want to follow up on both the, Councillor Twill? Councillor Duran, and then, thank you.
Words, and we'll make sure the work gets back to the Seniors Active Committee. We like the work that they're doing, and the beauty of it is they have autonomy, they have independence, and, we're not there to try to initiate, some of the projects that they want to take on and some of the important priorities that they have, and I think it's a lot better when it comes organically from the members of the committee. So, full compliments to the committee, and your words will be passed on. Thank you. I want to address Councillor Duran's concern. I think there's a number of different ways that this can be looked at. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that the developer bears all the cost. Maybe the city of Charlottetown can participate financially. Maybe we could split the costs, whether, it's 10, 20, 15. I'm just throwing out numbers. Your community's a much better place to live in when you have the prerequisite green space and maybe walking trails through the community, whether it's a new subdivision or it's a revitalization. Could be brownfield development that's being revitalized into, open green space, recreational playing fields, walking tracks, whatever the case may be. So, Councillor Duran, I want to assure you that I'm not suggesting for 1 minute to pass the entire financial costs onto the developers. I think proactively and in collaboration with developers, working with our Parks and Recreation professional staff, we can do a development, that's certainly going to be advantageous for the developer. It's going to be advantageous for the people that live there, and they're going to want to move into a community that has those, I would suggest, indispensable features that people are looking for. And so again, I think we can work with the developers, and one option is to split the costs. So I hope that gives you assurance. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we're going to pass all the costs on to the developers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Twill. Okay, water? No, that's closed. Closed session. Water and wastewater, Councillor Duran, Ward 6.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Our Water and Sewer Utility Committee met on February the 13th, 2025. We do have 2 resolutions coming forward for your consideration. The minutes of our meeting are included in our package, and if anyone at all has any questions, feel free to ask it. Our manager's sitting here if I can't answer them. So thank you very much. That's my report.
Read the first resolution.
Water and Sewer Utility Resolution Number 1, Your Worship, moved by Councillor Justin Matart, seconded by Councillor Bob Duran. Be it resolved that the City of Charlottetown endorses the forestry management plans for the city's wellfield properties, further empowering the water and sewer utility to pursue the recommendations set forth within the forestry management plans.
Okay. Questions called? Questions called. All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
I think the deputy has left. She had to take a call, so I'll just put her absent. Okay, do you want to read the next one?
Go ahead.
Yep.
Water and Sewer Utility Resolution Number 2, moved by Councillor Justin Matart, seconded by Councillor Bob Duran. Be it resolved, whereas the City of Charlottetown passed a policy resolution of April 10, 2000, that City Council confirm its policy not to entertain applications for water service to properties outside the municipal boundary of the City of Charlottetown without first receiving approval from City Council to do so. Be it resolved that City Council approves the request for service received from the Department of Social Development and Housing. The request is for a water and sewer service to a proposed subdivision in Miltonville Park, PID number 283226. Be it further resolved that the costs associated with the development or any future services will be paid by the property owner. As well, services will be billed with a 25% premium as a surcharge for services provided outside the City of Charlottetown's municipal boundary.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a question. I know it wasn't long ago, I think on the other side of the road, we went out, extended our water lines and our services for people that were outside our city boundaries. And now we're extending again on the other side in this whole area. Has there ever been any kind of talk about if we're going to start using services from the city? And I know 25% more than normal, but if we're starting to expand our services out, has there ever been any kind of discussion about,
A regional utility?
or coming out a little bit to kind of incorporate that area back into the city where,
Love to annex it.
yeah, well, I
Yeah.
didn't want to use the word. I'm just wondering, has there
Yeah.
ever been discussion as we start to continually grow with our services? Is this discussion happening?
I know the capital region mayors have talked about a regional utility, and that's still being talked about, but nothing has been advanced. Regional water and wastewater utility, Stratford, Cornwall, and Charlottetown. Councillor Duran, and then I'll come back to you, Councillor McCabe.
You, Councillor McCabe and Mayor Brown, we did discuss this at our last Water and Sewer Committee meeting to see if we can reach out to the other communities, whether it be Stratford and Cornwall, to see if we can get something in place for water services. I mean, they have lots of water. We have lots of water in our well fields. And this resolution kind of falls into the last resolution, is that we're trying to get some forests around our well fields and protect them. That's a big thing. We had it in our budget. We've had it in our budget for numerous years, but we haven't really purchased any land to protect our well field. So now the province comes in here and they want us to give them water for this particular development, which, you know, I've been told that we do have the capability of extending our water to this development. But we, you know, to flip back on that, we have to protect our well fields. And that's a big thing moving forward, which we're trying to do. We've had it in our budgets for the last number of years, and we have to get out and do that. And it's not just talk. We have discussed this at our last meeting, and we'll discuss it on the meeting coming up on Thursday. But to answer your question on this particular resolution, we do have the water capacity to sell it at a premium rate of 25%, and all the costs are bared by the developer that's doing this. Thank you.
We'll press your button. Councillor Twill? You got a lot of
Just a
corporate.
question for the chair. In future, could you put on your agenda, I'd like to see if the department can do a jurisdictional scan with other municipalities and to see what kind of a financial format or arrangement that they put in, you know, that they execute, so that it'd be interesting to see where we stand, the city of Charlottetown, where we're providing services outside the city limits. It certainly, it favors a developer, whether it be commercial, residential, subdivisions, to take place outside of the city limit because of the taxes. And that's something we've been struggling with here for a number of years. But from a jurisdictional scan perspective, it'd be nice to be able to have that comparison take place to see exactly where we're at. And then with so much pressure on water, you know, trying to preserve and protect the water here in the city of Charlottetown, you know, how does that all come into play? when developers are developing outside of the city limits. I don't mean this particular subdivision. I'm talking, it could be, single house, it could be commercial property, could be industrial, it could be a number of different entities that are looking to have access to city water. And I just wonder, 25%, is that enough? Is it not enough? It's something I think we need to take a look at. Thank you.
Councillor Drawn?
Thank you, Councillor Twill. That's a great idea, and we will do that. I know we've discussed this, I think, Mayor Brown, when we started back in 2018. We discussed about collaborating with our neighbors. We've gone to the mayor's council, the mayor's meetings. We've tried that. That doesn't move very far. And the other day, we were perplexed of what was going on. How can we move this forward? It's the same as policing services or fire services. How do we make that step? And, we didn't know what to do because, if we don't get collaboration at the mayor level, how do we go forward? So someone in senior administration, gave me an idea, said, what you should do is try to meet with the province, because the province is the one that can, I guess for lack of a better word, dictate or make us collaborate. And that would be best for all taxpayers in all communities. If our water is something that we need to share with communities just outside, then if the province, helps us do that, then that would be a positive tribute to us moving forward. And I mean, that way, maybe it wouldn't cost so much money if we have tap into Cornwall's water or Stratford's water. I mean, I know we're doing the sewage for Stratford now, and, at that point in time, the PEI government told us this is what we had to do. So maybe that's where we should go as a council, get our CAO or mayor to meet with the government to see if we can actually do something rather than just spinning our wheels. So we'll talk about this on Thursday. We have our meeting, and I notice our manager writing down your questions, and we'll try to get that going, get our wheels going before this term's over. Thank you.
Councillor Bernard?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, Councillor Drawn, in the past, normally these have been one-offs that we have done. I'm seeing this as a subdivision, and I'm just wondering, this is phase 1 of 5 phases. Phase 1 says it's a total of 60 units. Do you know how many units we're talking about in all 5 phases? I assume if we say yes to phase 1, we're going to be saying yes to all 5, and that's where I'm concerned here. There may be more conversation that has to be had because, like I say, it's always been along the trunk line. There's a homeowner that wants to hook up to our line, but this is the first time I think I recall of a subdivision other than the mini home park. So do you have any idea how many units we'd be talking about in the 5 phases?
Councillor Drawn?
No, I don't have them actually on hand, but our manager may. The exact number of units that want to tap in. This is a provincial government application. So this is a great time to see if we can get our administration to meet with them to see where we can go moving forward. This is a development, I think affordable housing development is part of it. So I'm not sure, but I'd be more than thankful if we can get collaboration here with the City of Charlottetown and the provincial government. And this would be the first step if we could get the wheels spinning and kind of join the capital area, water and sewer. That'd be a great idea.
So would it make sense to defer it until we get that information? We have the meetings with the province? I'm just a little leery going 5-phase subdivision. And I mean, if the first phase is 60, if you multiply that by the other 4, we're talking about quite a few properties here. And it would be nice to have that conversation with the province before we approve this.
But Councillor Drawn, this will hold up the development, correct?
This what?
This will hold up the development. They don't have water, they can't go with the development, correct? So either if we pass one, we may be asking the province, look, this is not going to work. We need
To do something.
do something. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So
We've been asking.
I know.
Every couple of meetings we've asked, and you've asked.
I've asked.
But we haven't
Nothing's coming
gotten
back.
anything back to reciprocate with what we want to do. So
Right.
maybe this is a great time
Yeah.
to sit down and say, okay, listen, let's put the cards on the table, let's get the province engaged and see what we can do with that.
But again, I just want to get, I just want to get it from you. If they don't get the water, the development stops.
Yeah.
For this phase. Councilor McCabe?
It delays, it doesn't stop, because the hope is that we're going to start to be able to collaborate with our next level of partners anyway and try and get people working together. We're seeing that as a need. I'd be okay until we have full information. I mean, that's what my point was with my initial question. We're starting to move out with all these services, but what's the bigger plan as we just keep piecemealing? I'm sure the province has a plan, correct?
I don't know if they have a plan.
That would be information that probably would be helpful to share as we're approving. So I would support a deferral.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Bernard, seconded by Councillor McCabe to defer. Councillor Drawn, I have to let you start off.
Yeah, like, I know where you might hesitate on this and want to defer it, but in building, when you defer it for a month, they don't have the water. This is for an affordable housing initiative that they're trying to build out in Milton Vale. You know, I don't want to delay it.
No.
But this would be a perfect time to get them at the table to say, okay, we can extend our service to you to get this 60 units in and let building keep moving forward. But we want to talk about where we're going with the next developments. And we want to bring you to the table to see if we can secure our well fields, you know, all this stuff. It's got to come from somewhere. But, you know, maybe this will be our goodwill gesture to say we'll approve this, but we want you to come back to the table.
Good point.
Thank you.
Councillor Bernard.
No, I was just going to say the same thing. Why don't we just approve the first phase?
Yeah.
Make it clear that just the first phase is being approved.
Can we ask Councillor Drawn, the CAO, just to follow up on this? What department? Is it municipal affairs? Is it finance? Get this going, because as you said, we've talked so many years since 2019 about this issue, and it keeps going around and around and around. Councillor Twill.
You know, I think the thing to keep in mind is it's great to say that we're going to try to collaborate with, you know, Cornwall and Stratford. Milton Vale Park's not part of Stratford or Cornwall. And a lot of requests come from, you know, the Brackley area. We've had, over the years, we've had a number of requests come in from that particular community, Milton Vale Park. So we're talking going the northern part of the city. That's not Cornwall, it's not Stratford. So you got to keep that in mind, regardless, you know, if anything's achieved with Cornwall and Stratford, it doesn't answer about the boundaries beyond the northern part of the city limits. And that's where our biggest challenge is, and that's where we're getting a lot of requests. So, you know, I think the province, I agree, you know, let's get this development going first and then have the discussions with the province. But if you're going to look at any type of, you know, regional service or annexation, whatever, you got to be careful in how you approach that. That's got to come from within the communities themselves. It can't be something that I certainly don't want to be a part of, wanting to force annexation. You know, I'm not in favor of that. That would be, you know, maybe a discussion that would have to take place with the province and the affected municipality. But we got to be careful. You got to treat that with kid gloves.
Yep.
But our concern is development is taking place in the northern part of the city limits, whether it be Brackley, you know, past the airport, past Winslow, and of course Milton Vale Park.
Councillor Drawn.
Just one.
No, great ahead there.
Just-
Did
I don't
you
wanna-
want to address that?
Yeah, well, I do, you
Yeah.
know, because, you know, when you mention Brackley or Milton Vale Park, they're our partners, right? We have a Brackley well field just outside the city lines. So, you know, we have an agreement with them, you know, we work collaboratively with them. Milton Vale Park's another well field we have. So that's not far from there, so they'd be tapping into that as well, right? So we try to be partners with people around the city. You know, we try to be good neighbors. So, you know, this is why we say a 25% fee on it, that we do take extra money coming in for us to help for their infrastructure. But we do try to be good neighbors with our outlying communities. But I understand where you're coming from. We can't just give it to everybody. We have to look after everything in the city too. But we've talked about this, the capacity of our wells. Everything is fine at this time for these developments.
And-
Thank you.
Councillor Drawn, you've said many times, shared services, strong communities. Question called? Question called?
Are we on a deferral?
No.
Well, they moved it.
You want to go in the deferral? But you're dropping the deferral. Do you want? Yeah, so. Yeah, they're dropping it.
Did they drop?
Are you drop?
No, you mentioned deferral.
Yeah, they've dropped that. It's on this, the resolution right in front of you right now, to be resolved that the costs associated with the development or any future services will be paid by the property owner, 25% surtax. All those in favor?
So is there an appetite to put in, we're approving just the first phase, or are we approving all 5 phases?
Councillor Drawn or each phase will come back anyways, correct? Hold on, go ahead.
Yes, each phase would have to come back. So if we want to approve this and, as a goodwill gesture, we'll approve that here tonight. If they wanted to come back and look for something else for the second, third, fourth, fifth stage, it would have to come back here. But what I'm saying is, let's get a team together and meet with the province and say, listen, this is what we're looking at. How do we get you to the table to sit down and negotiate different things? But it's my understanding, this is just this application. We'll vote on it, and then we'll get something in place to meet with them.
Okay.
Good?
Thank you.
Good? Okay. All those in favor of the resolution on the floor? Okay. Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. You got another, that's it, resolution 2? That's it, okay. Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Trevor McKinnon, Ward 8.
Thank you, Your Worship. Environment Sustainability met on February 26. Minutes are in your package. There's 2 amending bylaws for your consideration tonight. And a couple of notes, highlights just to bring up, that staff are looking for input on updated active transportation plan for the city, and encouraging everyone to go to charlottetownhall.ca, fill out a short survey. The survey will be live until April 10th. City staff with ICLEI Canada created a report called the Investing in a Climate Resilient Future, the Cost of Doing Nothing. This report supports the Climate Action Plan. Potential economic and social consequences of climate impacts such as extreme weather and sea level rise are outlined. The report affirms that investing in proactive measures now avoids much higher recovery costs later. Proactive work also supports essential services, delivery, and infrastructure in a rapidly changing climate. The full report is also available on charlottetownhall.ca. And transit had a slight increase of 1% this month over January. And there's been slightly over 234,000 users so far this year. So thank you for your consideration. I'll do my best to answer any questions, and Manager Jessica is here as well.
Okay. Okay, Sue, do you want to do first reading to amend the cosmetic pesticides bylaw?
Yes, Your Worship, we have an amending the City of Charlottetown's cosmetic pesticides bylaw to reflect recommended amendments cited in the enforcement amendment bylaw number 2024 EA01 to include reference to the city's enforcement and summary proceedings bylaw number 2024 ESP01, assigned bylaw number 2025 CP01, reference the Municipal Government Act, add revised definitions, format bylaw, using the appropriate bylaw template, correct minor typographical errors, and to ensure the overall consistency throughout the bylaw. Resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown Cosmetic Pesticides bylaw be read a first time, and that's moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
Shall it pass? Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thanks.
Okay. Want to read it again?
Do you have any discussion now?
Any
Your
discussion?
Worship?
Okay. You get another first reading?
Resolved that the bylaw now be approved as a city bylaw and that it be entitled the City of Charlottetown Cosmetic Pesticides bylaw and that it be read a second time at the next public meeting of council, and that's moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
Shall it carry? Yes. Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
You have another one there, CAO?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. This is the Tree Protection Bylaw Amendment, Bylaw number 2019 TP01D. Amend the City of Charlottetown's Tree Protection Bylaw to reflect recommended amendments cited in the Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 2024 EA01 to include reference to the City's Enforcement and Summary Proceedings Bylaw number 2024 ESP01, correct formatting and typographical errors, and to ensure the overall consistency throughout the bylaw. Be it resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown Tree Protection Bylaw be read a first time, and that's moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
Shall it pass? Pass. Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay.
I think you also have discussion on this if you wish.
Any discussion? Trees are growing. Okay.
Resolved that the bylaw now be approved as a city bylaw and that it be entitled the City of Charlottetown Tree Protection Bylaw and that it be read a second time at the next public meeting of council, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
Shall I carry? Shall I carry? Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
And that's your report, Councillor McKinnon? Oh, thank you, sir. Okay. Public Works. Councillor Ramsey, Ward 5.
Thank you, Your Worship, Council. The Public Works Committee met on Wednesday, February 26th, and the minutes are in your package. The Civic Board met on March 3rd. The minutes are also in your package. We have, what do we got here? We got two resolutions, and we got the first reading for your convenience.
Yeah, there's only one first reading.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and one resolution. Okay.
Well, I have two on my thing here, so, okay.
Councillor McTaggart?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. To the chair, I just made note when I was reviewing your report. I know that you're asking for a review of the Beach Street access to the event parking lot. So I just want to point out that, that was closed off due to a couple of reasons. One being the Eastern Gateway Master Plan was part of that, but also to reduce the traffic flow on Park Street that occurred between people going from Park over to to Riverside Drive. So I'm not sure, I'm very familiar with that area and I certainly spent a lot of time down there. I've never had any requests from any residents or anybody looking to potentially review that for opening that back up and, potentially bringing those concerns back to that particular area. So, and I was the, champion getting the barricades that are currently up there now as a result of the feedback that I received from the residents. So I guess I'm a bit perplexed as to why we're looking to possibly review that for opening that up. Again, it would be a throughway to, I assume, a one-way to go down Park Street into the parking lot, but it could only go back out then Riverside Drive, I assume, not coming back out Park Street. Is that what the intent was? So yeah, I mean, based on my conversation, I don't think there's an appetite for re-exploring this and potentially, you know, looking to open that back up. So I just wanted to make note of that. I noticed that's introduction of your new business during your report. And if there's something that I'm not aware of, you and I can have a discussion just if there's anything out there that I'm not aware of. Thank you.
Yes, and that was just brought to my attention by the general manager for the East Link, because he says like a lot of his clients were driving around the block, and he was just wondering if would sort of look into it and see if it was possible to go in one off a beach, but you can't go out that way. You know, they just have an arm or something like that. But then again, talking to other committee members and everything like that, it was just up for discussion, that's all. And it was just brought to our attention, because he thinks he's losing some clients by keep driving around the block. And I just said, I will certainly bring it up for you, sir. So that's where that came from. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Twill?
Be nice to me.
Always am. A number of months ago, I filed a notice of motion, and it was regards to City of Charlottetown, I believe Public Works provides a service, and that service is going around picking up debris, garbage, needles, crack pipes throughout the city. A lot of these materials are found in our public places, parks, some are local businesses, school grounds, sports fields, heritage squares. And, you know, it's a dangerous situation. And I don't know why the responsibility or the onus is on the city of Charlottetown to pick up all these materials, regardless of what they are. You know, we don't provide that service. We don't hand out needles and crack pipes and these kits and whatever. I mean, that's the provincial government that's sponsoring these respective NGOs, and we're not being compensated for it. I don't understand that format or who made that arrangement. It was never brought to council. That's obviously a policy and procedure that's being administered by the city of Charlottetown, yet I don't ever recall city council passing any policy, any procedure, embarking on any process, and I don't think it's our responsibility. I certainly don't think our employees, or even if we hire a contractor, I don't think the onus should be on us. We're not being compensated, and this has been going on now for the last 2 or 3 years, and I think, you know, we should be. Every time we're providing that service, that should all be logged, and invoices should be sent down to the provincial government, and they should pay for it. You know, if you can hand out this stuff through a different agency, then, you know, you need to bear the responsibility, and that shouldn't be up to the city of Charlottetown to provide that service. Now, I brought that up. What I'm asking, sir, would you please take this back to your committee, look at that, and I think we got to change the water in the beans. Okay, let's change the water in the beans, and let's put the onus back in the province. They're providing the funding. They need to clean it up.
Thank you for that, Councillor Twill, and I will certainly bring it back for our next group to meet on. Our acting manager is making notes right now, and we will certainly look into it and take it under advisement. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we have one resolution?
Yes, Your Worship, we have one resolution, one bylaw reading. Public Works Committee's first resolution or only resolution is moved by Councillor Kevin Ramsey and seconded by Councillor John McAleer. Be it resolved that per the publicly advertised request for proposals for 2025 sidewalk and multi-use pathway design, the best ranked submission of CBCL Limited in the amount of $82,500 plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that the Mayor and CAO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Okay. Councillor Bernard and Councillor McKinnon.
Councillor Ramsey, I'm just wondering for the rationale, and I was reading through the minutes, so I think I have an idea, but what I'm wondering is the rationale behind, so you have your 25 construction tender. All 5 of these locations, I guess, are going to go out for design that are in this resolution. 2 of them designed for future construction. And my question is on the rationale. One of them is West Combe Crescent, which was approved last year, which the city went out and did half the street. So it still has the other half, which the residents are expected to be done. Now, I think, reading through the minutes here, if I got this correct, it looks like your budget is basically $3 million. And there's approved, not approved, there's money that has to be paid for work that's already been committed to. And that's approximately $1.5 million, is that correct?
Yes.
Which leaves you about $1.5 million to do new work, so that's, okay. And during our capital budget discussions, and it doesn't seem to be captured here, but the recommendation was made to, we have $3.7 million in our CCBF fund, gas tax fund, which hasn't been allocated yet. So of that 3.7, they put $2 million into sidewalks. That should be able to put you back on your 5-year plan. Correct? Is that why the rationale was why this was taken off? Because I'm just wondering, when you do half street, you usually go back and finish the next year.
Councilor Bernard, and I agree with you 100%. We discussed this at our Public Works last week, and as you stated, or we stated, it's 1.4 million was left. I think our manager would sort of fix those numbers for me. And the consulting for the other 2 was 200,000 to 300,000, I believe, to have the work done, or maybe I'll pass it on to our acting manager.
Do you want to?
Paul,
engineer?
Paul, would you mind doing that?
Your Worship, for the chair. Yes, the design, 5 sections that we were planning to design, the staff estimate on construction of those is greater than the budget that's been approved. The design tender went out before the 2025-26 capital budget was approved. So we looked at what we have now for confirmed budget and what we estimated costs will be, and the decision of the committee was these 3 sections will be designed for construction this summer, and the other 2 sections will be designed, but until there's further funding, they would not go to construction tender. The other 2 sections, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'm sorry, but I think they would be about maybe another 1.2 or 1.4 million between the 2 of them.
Okay. So
Maybe under $1 million, but.
So then the gas tax that hasn't been allocated, if we put 1.5 million into it, it should be fine to put you back on your 5-year plan. Correct? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a recommendation. I guess we'll take that back to finance, make a recommendation.
I mean, council will have to agree with you that if you want to
Yeah.
put it back in there, like I'm in favor of all that, because like the more we can get done this year, will be less, there's gonna be more next year too. So
Yeah,
I'm in favor of, if they want to put 2 million back into it.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in
But
budget. I
but
know
that
I
means
was
we're
in a
amending,
comment.
that means we're amending the capital budget. That's what
not-
we're doing right here on the floor.
No, it'll have to go to finance. I mean, it was discussed during our budget discussions, and I know I was online. I was into the problems, and I know I mentioned it online, and it just never got captured. So we'll take it back to finance and make a recommendation. I guess it's the proper procedure.
But again, that recommendation is to change the capital budget. Because we'll have to, Paul, we'll have to add money to the budget.
Well, we have the gas tax. This is what we do every year.
Oh, no, but-
This is gas tax. It's not city dollars.
No, but it's in our budget of 60 million for this year's capital budget. We would have to add an additional whatever. Well, how much would it be? $1 million? If we looked at, because there are two jobs here. There's one on Stockman Drive, and there's also Westcombe. Correct, Paul?
Yeah, and he's saying 1.5 million would do them both. And we have 3.7 million sitting there.
Yeah.
And it qualifies for sidewalks, street paving.
Yeah. Paul, do you have any opinion? Any feedback?
This resolution is for the design of 5 projects. Right now, the funding is only anticipated to be able to construct about $1.5 million worth of work, which is greater than all 5. The committee has transparently indicated which 3 would go to tender first. The other 2 would be designed, and should there be funding provided for them, they could then go to tender for construction.
So, just to clarify the process, does it not go back to Public Works to make that decision, to make a recommendation to Finance, correct? As Sue? Is that the process? Let me just
Well,
find out. Hold on, I just want to just ask CAO.
Your worship, I'm not sure about this process with regards to I'm going to defer to the manager of Public Works as far as his normal course of action when he's doing this planning. I would think it would go through his own committee first, and if there's actual changes to budget, then it would have to, like the capital budget, it would have to come back through finance back to council if we're changing the capital budget allocation.
Correct or incorrect, Mr. Johnston?
Yeah, the Public Works staff and committee put forward a requested budget that was a funding value similar to last year. That's why, anticipating that would be approved, we went out and went out to tender for these 5 projects to be designed. In the budget process, the funding was reduced. We're being very transparent here that we can now no longer do these 5 sections. If council wants to, if they haven't allocated CCBF funds yet and they want to, or want to do anything else to change the budget, council can change the budget. Public Works already put forward, it'd be council or finance. Public Works already put forward for 600,000. We got 300.
But a recommendation has to come from the standing committee responsible for streets, sidewalks, multi-use paved pathways. That would have to come from Public Works. Am I correct?
Public Works put forward a budget of $6 million and we got $3 million. So
we'll have to
do we
change it.
just put it, do we?
We'd have to make a recommendation to change it, correct? Okay,
Well,
Councillor Bernard.
Well, Your
And then
Worship-
Councillor McCabe.
Your Worship, we have gas tax that we get every year from the government. I mean, and it's usually always part of our budget. This year, and I mentioned it when we were doing budget consultations that night when there was concern about there wasn't enough money in for sidewalks. The acting manager made it very clear, the $3 million, 1.5 of it was already committed to. You only had $1.5 million. My question originally was, how do you take off a street that was started last year when you only do half of it? And then you're saying, we're not going to do it this year, we're going to do 3 or 4 others. That's the real question. But it can be solved by taking $1.5 million of the 3.7 of our gas tax that's not allocated yet.
But we're amending the
I don't
capital
care what
budget.
you call it. The
No,
gas
no,
tax is
that's,
there
no,
to be
that's,
used
that's
for
not
sidewalks
what you're
or
calling it.
streets.
It's an amending you're reopening that package that we voted on, what, a week ago? 10 days ago? You're amending the package.
And the problem with that is?
Well, if we amended for this street, I know that there's another street that wants to be done, and that's Fox Drive?
What you're doing, Your Worship, is
Well, no, it's not Raleigh Road.
what you're doing, Your Worship, is you have $3.7 million of gas tax funding that hasn't been allocated yet.
Right.
So every year we do this, if there's a budget that needs it to be used there, that's where we put it.
Right.
The night when I called in, I mentioned it, that we have that money to pop up $2 million. It never got captured. So it never got captured in the budget, but it was mentioned that night. I called in and said, there's $3.7 million. You want to bump up the sidewalks, another $2 million, there's money there, and they'll still leave you 1.7. So you never captured.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to have a resolution or
I'm just
recommendation back.
I'm just going to ask, the process has to be followed, has to go back to Public Works. Public Works make a recommendation to Finance. Okay? Okay. Councillor McCabe, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I'm with Councillor Bernard on this. You know, we adopted the 5-year master plan sidewalk working document 5 years ago. It gave us a vision. It gave us a direction where we were going to go with these. Every city, every street, everybody wants a sidewalk. We didn't have enough money. We had pretty good money. What did we approve last year? $6 million last year. This year we get to capital budget, and it's a time when things are going up in time, we dropped to 3 million. There definitely was talk about putting money from the gas tax into this work. We can't just keep kind of starting things and stopping things and moving this and doing that. If we're in, we're in. If we're committing to these plans that we vote and we approve, then we have to invest to see them through. I mean, the plan is we're going to make our streets safer. We're going to connect our communities. We commit to the master plan. That's why I didn't support the capital budget. So I think I would support going back and seeing how we can get back on track to make sure that we keep going with the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you both for your input. But our committee met, and we only had a limited amount of money. So what can we do? You know, we said 5 million going forward a couple of years ago, but we don't have the money. We're trying to keep our capital budget under a certain amount, a number here. So if you don't have the money, we didn't go forward. This resolution is based on the committee's recommendation with the money that we had. Now, if you find other money in the finance committee or you like to put it anywhere, you can't just say, okay, well, let's put it in here right now. I mean, it's got to go back to the committee. Council's got to discuss it, and then it's got to come forward. So the only thing that we're dealing with tonight is the resolution on the floor. We can't start amending everything and changing it because somebody found money. I mean, we dealt with it because that's the money that we had. And we're trying to keep our capital budget under a certain amount of money. So, you know, there's discussions that can come forward here in the next month, and it could come back. But for now, let's just vote on this and move on.
Okay, Councillor, you already went twice. I just want to keep it. I've been criticized, and I know there's people out there looking at me saying twice, 3 times. Yeah. But let's just vote. Councillor Duran, what you're saying is just vote on the resolution on the floor. Correct? Good? Councillor Ramsey, question? Question's called. Oh. Yeah, well, no, we'll have to answer through the committees. Okay. Yeah.
How a street that already gets started gets put off the list?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
I'm not an engineer and it's operational, and I don't know why it was knocked off the list. I can't answer a question like that. Just to echo Councillor Drong's, like we had the meeting and our manager walked in with this bag of money, and he said, "This is it." And I heard you with that, when you called in, when you said the gas tax is there, but that should have been sort of discussed before it went to our meeting. In my own personal view, and say, okay, here's an extra $2 million, but then the whole 5 of them are done. And that's in my view, but now, does it have to go back, or what?
Yes, it's going back to the committee.
Okay, it goes back to Public Works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions on the floor? All those in favor? Councillor McAleer, yea or nay?
In favor.
Okay. Do you got something there for the War Memorial Monument? Yes. First reading.
Yes, Your Worship, we have the first reading of the War Memorial Monument Amendment Bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown's War Memorial Monument Bylaw to reference legislation pertaining to the Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island, assigned bylaw number 2025 WMM 01, reflect recommended amendments cited in the Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 2024 EA01 to include reference to the City's Enforcement and Summary Proceedings Bylaw number 2024 ESP01, update bylaw template, and incorporate minor housekeeping amendments to ensure overall consistency throughout the bylaw. Be it resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown War Memorial Monument Bylaw be read a first time, and that's moved by Councillor Kevin Ramsey and seconded by Councillor John McAleer.
Shall I carry? Okay, just one second. Okay, do you want to?
If there's any discussion, Your Worship.
Councillor Twill, your mic's on.
No, I think this is a good piece of work that's coming forward. Just wondering if the committee has any intentions of reaching out to the members of the Legion to get their input with respect to this amendment to the bylaw and the War Memorial, and that beautiful structure that's there on Grafton Street. Just wondering, are we reaching out to the members of the Legion and veterans to see if they'd like to participate and offer their suggestions and their recommendations. And, it's an important part of the history of the city of Charlottetown. And I just wondered, can we not include our veterans, whether it be, even DBA for that matter, DBA, the Legion?
Councillor Ramsey, did you want to just take that under advisement, or?
We will, sir. We take it under advisement. We're meeting in another week or so, and we'll bring
Okay.
that up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. What are we ready to second time?
Your worship, just to clarify, this is, and Councillor Twill, this is, what you'll see in your packages, this is just housekeeping,
Yeah.
this particular piece of work. So if there was a public consultation or a special interest group consultation down the road, we could bring further amendments back on this.
Yeah.
But this one in particular is just very much a housekeeping related to the MGA.
Okay. Okay.
Sue?
You're welcome.
I just wanted to bring that forward because I think the more we can involve our veterans at a later date with respect to this, I think it's extremely important. So I'd just like to see them involved. Thank you.
Can you just?
So be it resolved that the bylaw now be approved as a city bylaw and that it be entitled City of Charlottetown War Memorial Monument Bylaw, and that be read a second time at the next public meeting of council. And it's moved by Councillor Kevin Ramsey and seconded by Councillor John McAleer.
Shall it pass?
Sorry.
Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that's it, Councillor Ramsey. Always a great report, always. Okay. So for finance, audit, tender, and administration, Councillor McAleer has asked the vice chair to give the report because he is on Teams. Do you want to go ahead, sir?
Your worship, the Finance Audit Tendering Administration Committee met on March the 4th for the regular meeting, and the draft minutes are in your package. There is one resolution for council consideration. Your worship, I will say that the committee has been working hard, as has staff, in trying to get our operational budget balanced. It's been a challenge so far. We're still working on it, your worship. I will say that the revenue sharing agreement with the province will be a key component to the city of Charlottetown continuing to grow and provide services needed and expected in our rapidly growing city, your worship. We look forward to having this agreement signed soon with the province and working together with them and other municipalities to fight the on-again, off-again tariff threats we get from our neighbors to the south. So, your worship, we need to be united, working together to weather the potential storm from the U.S. So, your worship, I do want to give a shout out. The staff has been working overtime on the operational budget. So we hope to have it balanced by next week, but that work continues on. So if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Councillor Mitchell Twill.
Thank you. Acting Chair, Councillor Bernard, as you know, last year, maybe even, longer, I've been very dedicated in my efforts to see that the city of Charlottetown has a procurement bylaw. Just wondering, can you give us a status report as to where that particular bylaw is? Is it a work in progress? Has it started? Is it near completion? I'm just looking for a status report.
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of that in the report. Procurement bylaw development. It's in your report there, Councillor Twill. It'd be on page. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Twill, for your question. So this afternoon, our Strategic Priorities and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee met, and we did have a presentation on the project work that is being done regarding updating our bylaws the top 10 priority bylaws that we have, and one of them being the procurement bylaw. So over the course of January, February, March, there's just ongoing bylaw work that's happening on the procurement bylaw. So the staff are diligently working on that. I think there's a lot of work that has been done thus far. And then over the April, May timeframe, there will be discussions at the committee level, and then they want to be able to then solicit feedback from the rest of council. And then ultimately it will make its way into council here for a vote on that. So there's, by all accounts, there's been a lot of work done on the procurement bylaw, and knowing the commitment today was that is the number one priority bylaw to be worked on and done. So we hope, I think it was thought maybe in the June area, so raise here, in the June maybe
April,
late
May,
June,
April, May, and then June.
June for implementation of that. So. Is there anything else? Okay, thank you.
Councillor Twill, we share your concern, but Councillor Bernard.
No, and I can add to it just from what's in the minutes in the package, Councilor Toyo, but it says work is progressing well in development of the procurement bylaw for the city. The section by section drafting of the bylaw is estimated to be approximately 85% complete. There are 12 areas identified through administration that will seek direction, so that's there in the minutes. Okay.
Councillor Drawn.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you for your report, Councillor Bernard. I noticed you just touched on quickly the funding agreement with the province. I know we've been working on this. There's letters been gone down to the province. There's nothing been coming back to tell us anything. But where do we go from that? Do we just keep writing letters and no answers, or is there any meetings scheduled? Is there any information, on a new funding agreement?
Councillor Bernard.
Yeah, my understanding is the Council drawn is the FPEIM has been doing negotiations for all the municipalities. I did have a meeting last week with the Premier, and so I'm hoping to get word on an update of where that is in the next couple of days. So, thank you.
Councillor Drawn. Mayor Dan Kuchar, myself, we've sent 2 letters to the Premier, previous Premier, he's now in Dublin, Ireland, and the new Premier, and the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Steve Myers, no response. So, look, it's like the procurement bylaw, we're getting there, but look, I even brought it up today at strategic priorities to engage them, because we have to start shouting from the rooftop. Councillor Drawn?
And that's why, I think we discussed this before at one of our meetings, like, we've written letters, but no answers come back. So, we're all hoping for a new funding agreement. Maybe the FCM will know better, but, we keep saying it, we keep saying we need one, but there's just no information coming back, which is frustrating, so.
Yeah, and I think, Councilor Drawn, that's one of the questions I asked when I was down there, and I think that the answer that I got from the Chief of Staff was that's because it's been mandated by FPIM to do the negotiations, so they don't want to be talking to 30 or 40 different municipalities. Having said that, that's why they said they would find an update, that they thought it was very close to being completed. So anyway, we'll hope to find out in the next couple of days.
Councillor Streel, Ward 4.
I want to draw your attention to item F, and that is regarding the discussion for the request from the University of Prince Edward Island, a $2 million funding request for the UPEI Faculty of Medicine. Just wondering, the committee had a discussion, it's just briefly outlined in the finance report, and with respect to the request from the university, is there correspondence that was sent here to the city of Charlottetown? If there was, could we get copies of that correspondence? And then secondly, is the Finance Committee recommending $2 million from the operational budget be awarded to the University of Prince Edward Island for, I guess, the construction of the facility? Just wanted to get an update on the $2 million request for the medical school.
Councillor Bernard.
Thank you. We considered that, Councillor Tweel, as a request for grants, and that would come to council with all the grants. So we didn't have a discussion on it. The recommendation was to move it off to council.
No,
What you're
no.
seeing in the minutes is accurate.
Yeah,
Committee recommend to come to council for
Yeah.
discussion.
Councillor,
similar
we'll just
to-
have a seat, just one sec. Finish up.
Similar to our, it's a grant request.
Yeah.
So it'll come to
Yeah.
council.
Yeah. And Councillor Bernard, yesterday's discussion, last week's discussion, this budget is probably going to be the hardest budget that you've ever faced in 25 years, and everything's going to be operational, right? Okay.
And, you know, when I say staff's working diligently, really hard, I'm
They
not
are.
exaggerating, they are, and it's a challenge. And I know Councillor Beck came into our meeting the other day, so he has an idea of the challenges that we're facing. But as a team, we're working together and hopefully to overcome those challenges.
I think all the numbers made him dizzy and he had to leave.
What's that?
I think all the numbers made him dizzy and Councillor Beck had to leave. No, Councillor Twill, your third time up. Okay.
No, is it a recommendation?
No, it's not. It's
From
going to be part of the
Finance Committee?
grants.
It's not a recommendation?
No.
No, because I see in
Yeah,
the
okay.
report, it says, moved
Yep.
by Mayor Brown, second by Deputy Mayor Jankoff, so it's not a recommendation,
No,
is
it was
what you're
moved,
saying.
it was just moved to the Finance Committee for discussion, so it's not, that's where it is. Okay, let's read the resolution. Looks like a good resolution.
Finance Audit Tendering and Administration Resolution, moved by Councillor John McAleer, seconded by Councillor Terry Bernard. Be it resolved that Council approve the budget transfer of $15,000 from Environment and Sustainability Department Special Projects Operating Budget line to the Transit Bus Stop Shelter Maintenance Budget line.
Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, your worship. Thank you for that, Councilor Bernard. Is that not already included in their contract, or why are they looking for an extra 15,000 for snow removal? I was reading through it, and they say that they need an extra 15,000, because I always thought it was all part of the contract, that, you know, that they clear out the shelters and things along that line. Is it gonna be an extra 15? They gotta hire more people? What's the story?
Councillor
Thank you.
Bernard?
The story is, the contract that they had was to clean pathways to the shelter, not cleaning the shelter itself. So some of our newer shelters, as you know, the way they're designed now, they hold a lot of snow. So to clear all of our shelters right now, that extra 15,000 will do that. So we have the staff already there to open up the walkways to get to it, just to clear them out. Clear all the snow out. Yep, no problem.
Okay. Question, Councillor Ramsey? Yes, sir. Okay, question was called. All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay. Is that it, sir? It is. It is, okay. You got another report, Economic Tourism and Cultural Development. And I think Mr. Wayne Long's here, too. Yankoff. Okay. I was gonna go to commercial. Bugs Bunny. Oh, go ahead.
On February the 12th, the minutes are included in your package. The Arts Advisory Board did not meet since the last meeting, but there's no resolutions for council consideration tonight, your worship, but there's a couple of highlights I'd like to mention to you and council. You recall we talked about the Bio Alliance here a couple of months ago, your worship, when we amended the tax policy. So just giving people an update, the Prince Edward Island Bioscience Cluster, located in Charlottetown, continues to make its mark as a top driver of the province's growing economy. Recently, the PEI Bio Alliance released the results of a survey of over 50 bioscience sector companies based on 2023 business performance. Private sector company revenues reached more than $612 million, with a GDP impact that makes bioscience the second largest industry in Prince Edward Island, growing 84% since 2018. So it's a great industry to have in Prince Edward Island and Charlottetown, your worship. The other thing is events are continuing to contribute to Charlottown's vibrancy this winter with Polar Pride Fest and the Squash PEI Open taking place this weekend. The Atlantic Entertainment Expo. We have the Junior East Wheelchair Basketball Championship. PEI Fashion Week. And you know, spring's around the corner when the PEI Burger Love takes us into April, your worship. So, if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay. Oh, Council 12, Ward 4.
It's not so much a question. I would like to make a statement that recently our Premier, the Honorable Rob Lance, had a discussion with the Prime Minister regarding the elimination of the tolls at Confederation Bridge and the fees to be able to use the ferry services. And the Premier, to his credit, said that both should be eliminated. And I think that's a fantastic approach, and I think Charlottetown City Council should support our Premier in that endeavor. I think that's fantastic. It's long overdue. I mean, we talk about interprovincial trade, and yet we don't have access to the rest of Canada. So I believe that we should bring in a resolution supporting the Premier in that endeavor.
Next time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, it's, I mean, it's like we talked about, you know, we have to be united. We have to start working together, municipalities, provincial governments, federal governments. Everybody knows that, you know, that if these tariffs take hold, it's going to be damaging for both sides. But I mean, especially, you know, you look at Prince Edward Island, you know, will it help tourism? Probably. There's, you know, there may be a silver line there, but there's a lot of exports that come out of Charlottetown and come out of the province PEI. So, you know, yeah, you're right. Kudos to him. And hopefully something will be done there at that level. So, yeah, if there's anything that we can do to help our next level of government and Islanders in the whole, yeah, we certainly do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they took the tolls down from McKay and McDonald Bridge in Halifax. They're taking them out. They're taking the tolls out.
Well, I think the Champlain Bridge in Montreal, my understanding is they used to have tolls, and when they built it, it was $4 million.
No, never had tolls. Champlain,
did?
no. But
So-
it's a $1 billion bridge that takes in a population of about 4 million people. So it's much more different than ours. Is 5 million? Yeah, Council, we got you right. Are you going to, I know he's going to bring a resolution next
Yeah,
time?
yeah. For sure.
No, he's got that.
Yeah.
I like the idea. Thank you. Okay.
Economic development, tourism, the freedom of goods and services traveling to and from the province. It's time to move forward.
Yeah.
No, and it's funny you bring that up, because, you know, in my meeting with the Premier, we did talk about that also, and we also talked about economic development and getting more events to the city of Charlottetown and the province itself, and getting some help from them in doing that, and working with our, I mean, we know we have an excellent staff person here who was able to attract a lot of events. So working together with the province on the fees and attracting more things to Charlottetown. That's been a commitment that they're looking forward to tying in with us, so.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Human Resources. Councillor Norman Beck. And Emily McLeod's here, the manager.
Yeah, so the Human Resources Committee did not meet this month, and there are no resolutions. And if there's any questions, I will answer them.
Okay. Well, let's go right to strategic priorities. Communications and intergovernmental cooperation. Councillor Justin Mertart, Ward 2. Ward 2. I'll give you a hot mic.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Strategic Priorities Communication and Governmental Cooperation Committee has not met since the last meeting of council. However, our meeting was today. Just wanted to quickly highlight the focus of today's meeting was Melanie provided us with a great update on the project plan for updating our bylaws. So that will proceed with giving updates to the rest of council and soliciting your feedback on the various bylaws for your input, and ultimately will make its way to council for a resolution. So we'll keep you updated on that. So if there's any other questions, I'll do my best to answer. But other than that, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mertart.
You're welcome.
And next, Councillor McCabe. Oh, you got a question for Councillor Mertart? Okay, just 1 second. Councillor Twill.
Councillor Mertart, recently, the Minister of Housing sent a letter to the city of Charlottetown, which was made public. And in the second paragraph, he talked about his correspondence with the city, communications with the city, and his understanding that, everything was, I'm paraphrasing, everything was copacetic with respect to the application that's before City Council, which we'll entertain in 2 weeks' time. My question is, I'm looking for, what I'd like to know is, just looking at his letter, my interpretation is that he was under the understanding that everything was fine down at Park and Beach Street. There was no concerns, there's no issues. Again, this is my interpretation. But if you look at that second paragraph, there's obviously been discussions going back and forth with the city. And I'd like to know from a specific, in terms of specific information, what exactly was being communicated back and forth to the minister for the minister to come out the way that he did. Come out pretty harsh. He's been in the press now 2 or 3 times criticizing the planning department, the planning board, city council. I'd just like to understand who the minister was communicating with, what assurances the minister was given, and why do we find ourselves in this constant bombardment in the media criticizing city council? Because I don't think the majority of council has been under any misconception or miscommunication. We got a process to follow, and we're trying to follow that process. Starts with management, the planning department, planning board to city council. But nonetheless, there was obviously assurances, or there was commitments made or arrangements. I'm not really sure, but I really want to concentrate on that second paragraph, which to my mind is critical and crucial.
Councilor Bedard.
Thank you, Councillor Tweel. I can say as the chair of this committee, I was not involved in any discussions from an intergovernmental perspective on that topic, and certainly as the councillor for Ward 2 on that particular file, I wasn't involved in any discussions with the applicant or the government on these discussions. So I can't answer your question as to that particular section and who had conversations and what was said during those conversations and what interpretations were made as a result of those discussions. I will make some assumptions that the applicant, in this case the government, was likely in conversations with the planning department and planning staff on the application. I think that was known on how they proceed forward. What assurances or understandings they had and what they were given based on the comments that came from the letter that almost indicated that they were very surprised that it was not going to be supported by the planning staff. So, but I think that also goes in turn, and I apologize because I did want to give you an update tonight. I know you asked a question of our committee a couple of weeks ago regarding the communications that we're having with our intergovernmental partners, whether that be other municipalities, government, federal, provincial. So I have been working with the CAO, and we are looking to come up with a mechanism that we can do that internal communication. I heard even just here this evening, there are other discussions that are happening with our provincial government, and some are privy to that and not all are. So I'm not even sure what some of those comments entail. Not to say they're secret, but at the end of the day, I think we need to be more open and transparent with the rest of council so we understand and be informed on some of the decisions that are made, and then possibly to alleviate some of these types of things that are happening. So I'm not skirting around your question. I don't have the answer to who had those discussions and how many of those were had and what information was provided. So I guess I can only say is because it's a planning. This is related to the planning file. The best course of action might be to look to the deputy minister, to the deputy mayor, and her committee to see if there's anything that she can provide in regard to that. And then, of course, I'll put it to the mayor, who likely was involved in some of those discussions.
And I can say, I think the key word here, Councillor Tweel said it, his interpretation. His being Minister Myers. So I think, Councillor Tweel, we're going to take that back to the committee. We'll get more information, and it will be reported back to council. No, Councillor Tweel, I want to get to her report, please. Come on, let's.
It's important This is
And
important.
we'll be
This was in the-
discussing it on
This has
March
been in the
25th.
press now 2 or 3 times.
We'll be discussing
right?
March
And the letter,
25th.
the letter was illustrated in the Guardian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it just amazes me how these correspondence, I mean, I don't mean councillors shouldn't be meeting with their counterparts at the provincial level, but on a critical issue like that, and particularly that second paragraph, I appreciate the fact that the chair of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee is going to take that back, but to be honest with you, Chair, I'm looking for some answers. Okay.
Big critical issue is the revenue share. We have to be focused on that too. The revenue sharing with the province and the municipalities. Okay, Protective and Emergency Services, Councillor Julie McCabe. Thank you kindly.
Okay, so our Protective and Emergency Services Committee met on the 20th of February. We met again on March 6th. The minutes for those meetings are in your package. We have 2 resolutions to pass tonight, as well as a second reading to amend the City of Charlottetown Policing Service Bylaw, and a second reading to amend our hazardous, dangerous, and sightly premises bylaw. Before I open it up or go to questions, I just want to take a minute to recognize the outstanding efforts of our major crime unit last evening. I think we've all been briefed that they were very successful in confiscating a large amount of street drugs from our city streets last night. I think this work represents the lives saved, families protected, and neighborhoods being kept safe from the devastating impacts of illicit substances. The sheer magnitude of this operation, again, highlights the skill and diligence of our city officers. So on behalf of the residents and on behalf of all of City Council, I want to say thank you. Any questions? I'll do my best to answer.
Councillor Twill.
Yeah. I too want to congratulate the chief and the street crime unit for, that was a major, major bust here in the city of Charlottetown and the work that was conducted. And I do have a question, through the chair to the chief of police. 3 of those particular individuals are from out of province. And one of the issues that keep coming up is the amount of drugs that is coming into our city out of province that's coming into our city. I don't know, Chief, if you can answer, but what I'd like to know, and what many residents would like to know, do we have any kind of a street estimate, street value of how much drugs is coming in from outside of the province and is finding its way here into the city of Charlottetown in terms of drug trafficking and drug dealing that's taking place? Because these are huge amounts of drugs that are on the city streets. And I'm just wondering if you can give me some kind of a synopsis on that.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank
you. Go right ahead.
Yep, so that's good questions, and it's probably information that the chief will have to gather. So unless you have that information to answer and respond to right away, I think it's something that we can let you sit with, and maybe you can get back to him with that information. If he has the answer to your question.
Councillor McCabe, you're
off
right
the
to say
floor.
that. You're right. She's the chair, and she's just said to her, yeah, if he can answer. If he can't, you will bring it back to the next council meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through the chair to Councillor Twill. We can certainly endeavor to try to get those estimates, but it's a pretty hard number to nail down. But, I'd like to use your question, the opportunity, just to highlight that we can't lose sight of the reason we have a supply of drugs in the streets is because we have a demand for drugs in the streets. And we have to recognize that. We have to invest in our youth and build our resilience to reduce that demand. Because, our street crime unit does incredible work and these seizures prove it. But as long as we have a demand, we'll never be able to keep up with the enforcement efforts that require that demands. We have to reduce the demand for drugs.
Here, here.
And Councillor Twill, I'm going to tie this back into what you brought up through your committee this evening about wanting more opportunity for kids and for young people to have opportunities to stay on a healthy path. And I think it's another opportunity where we can come out of silos within our own departments here to start looking at how can we impact some of that? Because the chief is right. If we can connect with the young people, engage with the young people, and help build that resiliency in our youth, then that's when we're going to see reduction.
Okay, Councillor Twill, second time.
Yeah, so, thank you, Chief. But yes, I would like you, if you get some time, maybe to bring some information back to council with the amount of drugs that's coming in outside of the province. And another thing I'd like you to look at too is money laundering as well here in the capital city. The second question I have is I want to first thing I want to congratulate the Charlottetown Fire Department for that major fire and for the work that our firefighters, had to confront. That was a pretty serious fire, and thank God nobody got seriously hurt. The only question I have is, and it's not a major question, but the question I have is, in terms of protocol, how does it work when a call comes in, dealing with a call of that magnitude? Who are the first responders? Is it the volunteers or is it the full-time firefighters?
Julie? Councillor McCabe?
Yeah. And how does that unfold?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through the chair to Councillor Twill. It all depends where the call is. Where it was downtown here in Sydney Street, we have a manned station, Station 1, so it was a career response and then volunteer follow-on. For District 2, the initial response would be volunteer and then a volunteer follow-on as well. So those are some of the things that happen with the different districts in the city, and we're working towards some changes there and some improvements. But currently, that's the setup.
Councillor McKinnon?
Thank you, Your Worship. Separate note, I'm just wondering, in your minutes here for your March 6th meeting, Councillor McCabe, fire underwriter study was touched on. I know it was in a closed session, so you can't say, but I'm just wondering, when is this report going to come to council? We were told last year, then we were told it's coming in March. It's now the middle of March. We just approved almost 1,000 units in the north end of the city here tonight. It's going to public consultation. Our city is growing. Why are we keep holding off? We've been asking this question since 2017, before, and we still don't have an answer. So when are we going to find out what's going to be the best for the residents of the city?
Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. And you're correct. We did have the presentation in closed session with our committee, and I believe that the intention is that Chief Mamie is going to bring that to a closed session of council in the very near future. I think trying to get through budget and whatever, but I'll let you respond if you know a specific date yet.
Good answer. Great. We can move on. That's the answer. There's going to be a closed meeting on it coming up? Yeah. Okay. Councillor McKinnon? Do you have a date, Councillor McCabe? Go ahead.
I think it's, again, it's going to be like hopefully very soon, but we're just trying to navigate through budget. Do you have a specific date when you're hoping to get this?
I don't, but we can do it the first availability for council in April, as soon as we get through the budget process.
Yeah.
Good.
Right, he's ready to roll.
Councillor McKinnon? Okay, you get 2 resolutions.
First resolution, Your Worship, from Protective and Emergency Services is moved by Councillor Julie McCabe, seconded by Councillor Bob Duran. Resolved that Council approve as per the conditions of the RFP for a mobile command post trailer, the highest ranked submission of PEI Home and RV Center for $67,850, including taxes, and further that the Mayor and CAO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Okay, sounds good. Councillor Duran, question? Yeah, question? Question's called. Question's called. All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
Okay.
Protective and Emergency Services Resolution Number 2, moved by Julie McCabe, Councillor Julie McCabe, seconded by Councillor Bob Duran, that Council approve as per the conditions of the RFP for the purchase of one 1750 GPM 2026 triple combination pumper, the highest ranked submission of Fort Garry for $1,685,077, taxes excluded, and further that the Mayor and CAO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Councillor McKinnon?
This question is just for my own curiosity, Your Worship. What is a triple combination pumper?
Do you want to answer that, Councillor McCabe? Councillor McCabe, did you want to answer it?
Go ahead. No, I'm not.
Okay,
Not an
okay.
expert on the
Thank you,
Okay.
Chair, Your Worship.
Chief
and through
Tim?
the Chair to Councillor McKinnon. That's basically the engines you see on the street. They can do, they can pump foam, they carry foam and water, and they have a pumping capacity and the hose to be able to put out the fire. So that's the first response vehicles, and that's what this line is replacing.
Questions called? All those in favor? Councillor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay. Now, do you have some readings there?
Yes, Your Worship, we have
Second.
two readings. The first one is the second reading to amend the dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly premise bylaw. And so amend the City of Charlottetown's dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly premises bylaw to permit the bylaw enforcement officer, inspector, to immediately enter a property without the need of a resolution of council, to carry out work required to bring the property into compliance, reference legislation pertaining to the Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island, reflect recommended amendments cited in the Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 2024 EA01, to include reference to the City's Enforcement and Summary Proceedings Bylaw 2024 ESP01, correct formatting, typographical errors, and ensure overall consistency throughout the bylaw. And therefore, be it resolved that the City of Charlottetown dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly premises bylaw be read a second time, and that the said bylaw be now approved and adopted. Moved by Councillor Julie McCabe and seconded by Councillor Kevin Ramsey.
Hallelujah. Shall it pass? Pass. Pass. Councillor McAleer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The next one, Your Worship, is the second reading to amend the policing services bylaw. And it's amend the City of Charlottetown's policing services bylaw to reference legislation pertaining to the Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island, assigned bylaw number 2025 PS01, reflect recommended amendments cited in the Enforcement Amendment Bylaw 2024 EA01, to include reference to the City's Enforcement and Summary Proceedings Bylaw number 2024 ESP01, update bylaw template, and incorporate minor housekeeping amendments to ensure the overall consistency throughout the bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Charlottetown Policing Services Bylaw be read a second time, and that the said bylaw now be approved and adopted.
Shall it pass? Pass. Pass. Councillor Drawn, yea or nay? Oh, sorry, Councillor McAleer.
In favor?
I'm thinking Councillor Drawn's way. Okay. So. Oh, yeah, you know, he's going away too. I know where he's going, down south. We're going into I see under here new business, one resolution anticipated from the closed session. Just one thing we forgot. Last week, we held Councillor Ramsey, the Accessibility and Inclusion Awards, and I forgot to mention the recipients. There was St. Dunstan's Basilica Church, Pony Boat, Pat and the Elephant, Stephen Brousseau, he's with the Resource Abilities, I think, Councillor McKinnon, Comfort Inn, Blaze Pizza, and Kaylee in the City. And what is his name? This Kendall Doherty and his group. Excellent. And also the chair received one, Glenn Flood. So go ahead there, Councillor Ramsey.
Yeah, and the reason why I didn't mention it, because they had it in our minutes there, Amber put in there, that there's going to be pictures and more information on that at a later date. So I apologize for that, but, you know, that's
Tony?
why I didn't mention it.
I just wanted to read it into the public record.
Oh, I know you did. It's all about you, Your Worship.
Okay. Karen, can you believe this? All the time. All the time. Okay, we are going to move into a closed session, and it is per section 119, subsection 1 of the Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island, and it's 119, subsection 1E, matter still under consideration, on which the council has not yet publicly announced a decision, and about which discussion in public likely could prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its negotiations. And it's a land sale and a funding agreement update. So moved by Councillor Matard, second by Counselor Beck. All those in favor? Counselor McAleer?
In favor?
Okay, thank you. Close the doors. Councilor McAleer, are you there?
In favor?
Okay.
Thank you. Still here.
Okay. So we got a couple of resolutions and one resolution. Okay. So we're back into an open session. The agenda has one item on it, correct, CAO?
We have two resolutions, Your Worship. One falls under our open session under 6.2, where it says, one resolution anticipated following closed session under Parks, Recreation, and Leisure.
Yes, and the second?
And the second one is under new business.
New business.
So the first one is Parks, Recreation, Leisure Activities, and it's moved by Councillor Mitchell Tweel, seconded by Councillor Justin Matart. Resolved that Council approves the fair market value sale price amount of $2,900 plus applicable taxes from the property owner at 231 Westridge Crescent, PID number 746156, for a 720 square foot parcel of city park land located within J. Bomber Callahan Park, PID number 690966, and further that the mayor and CAO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Questions called. All those in favor? Councilor McAleer.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Next one.
Under 6.11, under new business, Your Worship, we have one resolution, and I don't have a mover and seconder for that, I just realized. So I need someone to give, I need a mover and seconder
Councilor
now.
Bernard, Councilor McKinnon. Two hands went right up. DM Yanka.
Give me a minute, Your Worship, and I'll get them to sign before I actually read it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Under new business, we have moved by Councillor Terry Bernard, seconded by Councillor Trevor McKinnon. Be it resolved that Council enter into a funding agreements with two funding partners for a soon-to-be-announced development, and that the mayor and CAO will be authorized to execute any standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Questions called. All those in favor? Councilor McAleer.
In favor, thank you.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Councilor McAleer.
In favor.